Hi everyone, this is Alan Phillips, and this is a project for the Homeland Security and Emergency Management Business Continuity course. The company I chose to write about and do a presentation about is Columbia Gas. On September 13th, 2018, there was an explosion in which they overpressurized gas lines, and they sent over 100 pounds of pressure through gas lines that was rated for a half pound of pressure. The result of the overpressurization of gas lines caused many explosions and fires throughout a three-community area of Massachusetts. Andover, North Andover, and Lawrence, Massachusetts all had about 8,500 households that were affected by this overpressurization. This caused one death and dozens of injuries during this event. It also, in addition, it damaged gas lines, damaged appliances to all the homes, and damaged the heaters within those homes as well. All of this damage affected the populations of these communities. For example, there was no heat. They had no way to heat themselves, and now, it wasn't so bad in September, but now that they're getting into, October, November here, and December, it's cold, and in New England, there's a lot of snow, and so people were without heat. Hot water. They had no ability to take showers. There was no hot water in any of the affected homes. 8,500 residents, which amounted to many more people than that. In addition, businesses were impacted. None of the businesses could operate, and therefore they had a severe loss of revenue. You had many without housing. Those 80 houses were just the ones that had explosions and fires, but there were many that were damaged beyond living. So, that left people with needing a place to stay. All their gas appliances, their stoves, and all of those things, none of them could operate. They could not be used anymore. You had people who could not cook, and school children whose lives were disrupted. They could not go to school on a normal basis because most of the time they had to stay elsewhere. They could not stay in their residences. Impact on Columbia Gas. The downfalls for Columbia Gas was loss of confidence of their customers was the biggest one. They needed to embark on a campaign to get their customers back. Gas customers, a lot of them always fear gas. A lot of them don't understand natural gas, and so therefore it would be a challenge just to get them back after such an event, because what most people fear about natural gas is what actually happened on that day. Loss of revenue. Obviously, this was going to cause not only those 8,500 customers, but there could be a loss of additional customers from other states once people realize the dangers of natural gas and what actually happened. There's a loss of public image. Columbia Gas is a highly visible company. It's a NiSource company, and having an event like this happen could give them a bad reputation in the industry. So what did Columbia Gas do to exercise the plan, and how did they utilize things that would help them get back on track and not lose so much confidence, or have the customers lose so much confidence in them? The first thing they did is they immediately apologized, and they took responsibility for the explosions, for the fires, and for the overall incident. The second thing they did is they worked out a plan with the State Emergency Management and this governor's office on how to respond to this event. And it was not just a Columbia Gas response, it was a response across all public safety and the governor's office. This was intentional on Columbia's Gas's part. They wanted to show that it was a joint effort in responding to this and recovering from this. The next thing they did is they hired Joe Albanese, who's a retired Navy captain. They did this so that it was an outside source running the recovery and working with the people and the customers to try to get back some of the confidence and to try to respond to this and recover from this event. They secured 3,000 hotel rooms. They purchased or rented 360, or which is now 500, trailers for people to live in. They rented 160 apartments, and they stood up a shelter, a congregate shelter with room for 1,000 people. Again, all this was done as part of a effort to take care of the customers, which is part of a business continuity plan. In addition to the housing portion of it, they made some other acquisitions and purchases in order to help the people of the affected houses or the affected areas. They purchased all new heaters, which have to be replaced. All houses will have a new hot water heater. All houses will have a new furnace. All houses will have a new appliances. They'll all have new pipelines, new gas lines going up to there. As well, Columbia Gas replaced 50 miles of piping throughout the three communities to ensure that there was no damage to the additional piping. They also gave a daily food allowance. All of the affected people had daily food allowances to help get them through. And this has now been a couple of months, and it's still ongoing. It's still an effort to get the customers back and to resolve all of this. It's not, by any means, is it not over yet for Columbia Gas. However, they seem to be rebounding nicely. So why did Columbia Gas go through all of this? The purchases they made and the expenses they're expending. Well, the bottom line is they don't want to lose any more profit than they've already lost. They want their revenues to be grow again, and they want to have their stock plan. They don't want the stocks to lose, people to lose confidence in their stock as well. They want their customers to regain confidence in their ability to provide gas services, and they don't want to lose any additional customers, maybe from surrounding states or other communities in Mass that were not affected by the explosions. So in conclusion, Columbia Gas, by putting together all of these elements, making all the purchases they made, providing housing, replacing pipelines, going on an ad campaign that they did. They worked through the governor's office on everything they do. They want to, again, is to make sure the customers regain their confidence in them. Stocks initially had plummeted after this disastrous event. However, they've started to regain, so which tells you that the customers or the people are starting to regain confidence in the company. This was their sole purpose in doing everything they've done. It's going to be a huge and costly event for Columbia Gas, but again, it would be even more disastrous, and the company would never rebound if they did not do these things for their customers. So in the end, yes, Columbia Gas is still going through this, but they are starting to rebound. They have not folded as a company. They instead are still working with the customers, still working with those affected to see that they're through this event and that their company can continue operating as a source of energy for their customers.